Well, Mike, thanks so much for taking the time, first of all.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
When Elise told me about this, I was really excited. But then when she actually explained what a podcast is, I was even more excited. I mean, this is something.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a new experience.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you. You mentioned Elise. I did want to ask you one quick question about her. So I know we'll get into your Braves fandom, but how exciting was that for you? Elise has been here for a while, but how exciting was that for you when Elise came to work for the team that you loved?
It was very exciting. When she got out of college, she said, I don't think I want just to get an office job. I want to, maybe get something in sports. And we were saying, well, what do you mean? She goes, well, I'd like to work for the Braves. And we were going, well, good luck with that. We didn't think there was a chance that would ever happen. And we're just delighted. And she's the second Costa to work for the Braves. I was an usher in 1971.
Oh, that's awesome.
So she's following her dad's footsteps.
I love that.
Yep.
Oh, that's great. Well, let's talk about you and how you eventually became a Braves fan. So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Atlanta. I was born here. And when I found out the Braves were moving to Atlanta, I was very excited about that. In the early 60s, I wasn't really a big baseball player. I played Little League and all that, but I started collecting baseball cards in the early 60s, and then I thought it was going to be so cool that my baseball cards, that I was getting were now going to say Atlanta Braves instead of Milwaukee Braves, but I was really excited and went to the first game. My parents took us, our whole family.
In 1966?
In 1966, April 12th. And I guess that's the day I became a Braves fan.
Do you still, I have to ask about the cards. Do you still have any of those cards?
Not one of them. Just like so many people say, my mom threw them out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the story. Hey,
Yep.
It goes that way, yeah.
Yep.
So what are is that your earliest memories as a Braves fan? I guess since you were here the day one, that was
there
it,
was
right?
There was no earlier memories. That first game, though, it's my first trip to Atlanta Stadium, and I just remember I was blown away when I got in there. 50,000 people, and I'd never seen anything like that. And it was a great game. Braves lost. I don't know if you know much about that game, but Joe Torre hit 2 home runs that night, become the first Brave to hit a home run in that stadium. And but they went into extra innings, and Willie Stargell hits a 2-run homer in the top of the 12th, and we lost the game 3-2. Joe hit a second home run in the bottom of the 12th, but Braves lost the home opener, but it was still a great memory.
Well, even though they lost, I mean, goodness, you got to see. I mean, Joe Torre hitting 2 home runs, Willie Stargell hitting a home run. I mean,
Hank Aaron was there.
Hank Aaron, oh my gosh.
Eddie Matthews.
Right. That was Eddie Matthews last year as a player,
That was his last year. He was the only player, I think, to play for Boston, Milwaukee, and Atlanta.
That's one of my favorite Braves. That might be my favorite Braves trivia question is who was the only player to play for all 3? Because I think his rookie year was the last year in Boston.
Right.
Of course, the entirety of Milwaukee and last year here. That's great. Yeah. So, how often did you went to the very first. How often were y'all able to go to games for those first few years?
The first few years we would go maybe 2 or 3 times a year, I guess. But then I really went more in the 70s. I was single, and back in those days it was real easy to go to the Braves games. You could decide to go at 7 o'clock, and we would drive down there and park right next to the stadium because they didn't draw a lot of people. They were not that good. There were a few good years, but they were not that good. And we would always buy the cheapest reserve seat we could get and then go sit behind the dugout. They were glad to have you there.
Yeah.
But and I saw a lot of Hank's home runs during those years.
Oh, that's so great. When did you first start keeping track of Hank chasing the record? When do you remember that first becoming a thing?
I think that would have been around 71 when they started saying, he's got a good chance to make it. And then you started, counting as you would. And when he got to, I remember I was working as an usher in 71 when he hit 600, number 600. And then and when he got to, I think 660 was where Willie Mays was. I think Willie had already retired by then. And so it was nobody but Hank and the Babe from at that point. And it was getting more exciting because he was getting closer to 700. And when he got to 699, they were saying that they would offer $700 silver dollars to the person that retrieved his 700th home run. Of course, we were out there, and we sat in the, I think it was called the pavilion. It was a lower level in left field, because where he hit a lot of home runs right there. And when he hit it, it was coming right at me, but it landed about 20 rows in front. But I could hear it hitting the slapping the hands as it was coming in, and people were piling in. And some guy crawls out of there with the ball and goes running up the aisle waving it. So I guess he got his 700 silver dollars.
So was I'm sure that section was packed. Was the ballpark pretty full for 700?
I don't remember. I mean, it might have had 25 or 30,000.
Okay.
There.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, that stadium was so big as far as the number of people it would hold. Even a huge crowd like 30,000 would look kind of
50,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long? I want to back up real quick. How long? How many seasons were you in Usher?
Just one.
Just
I was in college at West Georgia, and I would come home on the weekends, and then during the summer, and then it was just that one season.
So
it was an experience.
And then leading up 1973, I assume by that point that's when everybody's really looking, because it was a chance he could break it in 73.
That's
right?
what the big question was, and I'll never forget the Saturday night before the 73 season ended. I was out on a date and listening to it on the AM radio in my Volkswagen, and he hit number 713. So called all my buddies, said we got to get out there tomorrow. And that next day, the last day of the season, and normally there would be 6,000 people out there. They were in dead last or not doing well, and there was 32,000. I guess they couldn't. I would thought it'd been full, but they had 32,000, and it was sort of a gray day. And Aaron went 3 for 4. But he didn't hit a home run. But I remember Marshall Mann, the PA announcer at the end of the game, said Aaron's 3 for 4 today brought his season average to an even 300. And I'm thinking, wow, he's 39 years old and, chasing a record, and he still bats 300.
I know. That's something I feel like we love celebrating the home run record with him, but it almost overshadows just how great of an all-around baseball player he was.
Absolutely. He was a base stealer, too.
Yeah. He could do it all.
He could.
Yeah.
He sure could.
So, all right. So, we end the 73 season. He's one short, opening 74 on the road. Just take me through what you remember about that 74 season. And I'm sure you're hoping that he's going to tie and break the record at home so you could go. But what do you remember about heading into that season?
The Braves started off the 74 season in Cincinnati for a 3-game series. It was a Thursday. They were off Friday and then played Saturday and Sunday. Well, I was at Georgia State at the time, and I skipped school that day. It was an afternoon game because I was going to watch that first game to see if he hit it. And I'll be doggone if his first swing, his first at bat, and his first swing, he hits the number 714, and I couldn't believe it. Well, then, the Braves wanted him to break it in Atlanta, and I guess you would remember this or know about this. They had said they were going to sit him down for the next 2 games, and the commissioner, Bowie Kuhn, did not like that at all. He said, the object is to win. And you shouldn't do that. And he played 2 out of 3 games last season, so he should play 2 out of 3 this season. So so he did not play Saturday, and then on Sunday he played and he struck out 3 times. Now I don't know if that was intentional or whatever. I'm not saying anything, and so that brought him to Monday night, our opener.
So those games in Cincinnati, were all of those televised?
Oh yeah. Well. Yeah, they were.
Okay.
They were.
And it wasn't, it's not like today where every game's on TV. Back
no,
then,
they might have been televising it just because there was an opportunity for him to break the record, I guess.
Yeah, okay, I would imagine so.
Yeah.
All right, so we get to April 8th. Was April 8th on a Monday?
It was a Monday. It was a stormy day. There'd been tornadoes around the Midwest, and it was just a typical spring day. It would rain for a while, then the sun would come out, and the forecast was iffy for that night. And I remember being, real nervous that they were going to have a rain delay or it was going to get rained out or, whatever. But around 6 o'clock, it started clearing up. And it was a full house that night.
When did you get tickets for that game?
I'm trying to remember. I'm sure I didn't buy them that day. I bought them, in advance, but I don't remember exactly when.
Okay.
Yep.
So who did you go with to the game?
I went with 7 of my friends. There was 4 couples of us, and I still keep in touch with. There's still 5 of us that we still talk and see each other, and remember that night. And I will be letting them know that I'm on this podcast.
Yeah, I think you should.
Yeah.
Where did you guys? How do you remember going to the game? How you got there, or did y'all just meet there?
We probably went in 2 different cars, but I don't necessarily remember that. I remember exactly where we were sitting. We were in the upper level along the third base side, sort of looking down on the foul pole. So when Aaron got up, this is his second at bat of the night, and hit the ball, I didn't think it had enough to make it. Because it seemed to be too high, and then it just seemed to keep drifting back, and it cleared the fence by about 10 feet. But we were looking straight down on it.
Oh, my gosh. So what was that moment like? Did you all just jump up and celebrate?
Oh,
What
yeah.
was it like in that ballpark in that moment?
It was pandemonium. I think it was about a 10 or 12-minute ovation. They wouldn't stop applauding. And there was, celebration at the plate. They basically stopped the game and came out and did presentations. His mom ran out on the field and gave him a big hug. It was great.
Do you remember seeing did you see the 2 kids that ran out on the field?
Yes.
Yeah. Were you worried about that at all, or was anybody worried, or no? Just
I thought
celebration?
that was cool. I said those guys are going to spend the night in jail, but they're going to be seen for years to come.
Well, and you were right. That's exactly
that's
what
exactly
happened.
right.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
So. Did you get any? I already know the answer to this question because I already saw it, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Okay.
Did you have any keepsakes or anything you saved from that game?
Actually, for the 700th home run and for the 715th, they gave a certificate and it said I was there when Hank Aaron hit number 700 or hit number 715, and I do have those in a frame with. Actually, there's a ticket, but my parents were also at the game. They were sitting somewhere else, and it was their ticket. I don't know what happened to my ticket, but I found it at their house one day, and I said, I'm going to put this with my frame. But I still have those, and I got my daughter to get Hank to sign it, too.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
great. Oh, that's great. So when you look back at that night, we're coming up. This is 50 years since
50 years ago. That's hard for me to believe.
Does it still feel like it was just the last weekend?
Everything feels like it was last weekend. 50 years, it blows my mind that it's that long ago. But yeah, it was something I'll never forget for sure.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Thanks for having me.
And we appreciate it. Yeah.